Hello everyone, good morning. How are you all? All good, okay? So in the last class we were discussing a story titled as The Bear Story. I hope all of you remember the story. So once upon a time there lived a bear, and that was a friendly bear who eats only vegetarian food, and the mistress in that palace. And this bear was her pet animal. And who all are the characters in the story? The cook, the mistress, that means the owner of the palace, and the bear. And there were also many other pet animals too. And this bear is little naughty too. And sometime this bear used to get punishment from the mistress for climbing the trees. And this bear loves to eat all kind of fruits, mainly apple. So in the spring season, he used to climb the tree of apple and he plucked some apple. So at that time, he used to get some kind of punishment. That means he will be chained. Okay. And all the pet animals who were in that house used to make fun of this bear. But this bear was really a friendly animal. Really a friendly animal, and all of them liked this bear very much. And the dogs, pet dogs who lived in that house used to play with this bear. Okay, so till here we discussed in the last class. Now all of you get ready, take your textbook, page number 54. Next section. He was also put on the chain on Sundays when his mistress went to spend afternoon with her married sister, who lived in a solitary house on the other side of the mountain lake, a good hour's walk through the dense forest. So, this lady, that means this mistress, used to go to her sister's house that was far away from her palace. And all Sundays, she used to visit her sister's house and note down the word solitary. Have you heard this word? Solitary. Solitary means lonely. So, this mistress sister, she leads a lonely life. Solitary means lonely. This sister leads a lonely life in her house, and all Sundays, this mistress used to visit her sister, and she used to travel through the dense forest. It was not supposed to be good for him to wander about the forest with all its temptations. It was better to be on the safe side. He was also a bad sailor and had once taken such a fright at a sudden gust of wind that he had upset the boat, and he and his mistress had swum to the shore. And this bear likes to visit the forest. As we all know that we can see these bear wild animals in the forest area, right? So this bear really likes to spend his time in the forest, and all the Sundays this mistress used to go to her sister's home, and at that time this bear also had the desire to go to that forest, but someday something happened. And what was that incident? Yes, and it was better to be on the safe side, and one day this bear followed this lady to the dense forest, and something dangerous situations happened there. Then from that period of time, this mistress won't allow this bear to come to the dense forest. And now he know quite well what it mean when its mistress put him on the chain on Sundays with a friendly tap on his head and promise of an apple on her return if he had been good during her absence. He was sorry but resigned like a good dog when his mistress tell him he cannot come with her for a walk. That means this bear likes to go a small short walk with that mistress, but that mistress won't allow him to bear to come with her, because that day something dangerous something had happened, and that situation was mentioning in this paragraph, okay, in page number 54. So in the DCA session, I will ask you what was that dangerous situation. Okay, I'm not explaining it now. So I will ask you, you must note down that. Okay, and this bear also know that if he went with that mistress, something will happen. So now he was quiet, and in all the Sundays he will be chained, and that mistress will offer this bear, when you behave properly in my absence, I will surely provide you a good apple. Okay, so you have to behave properly in a good way to that cook and be quiet. Okay, so all the Sundays that bear was really quiet. And one Sunday when the lady had chained him up as usual and was about halfway through the forest, she suddenly thought she heard the cracking of a tree branch on the winding footpath behind her. Then next day arrived and she reached the dense forest. She reached the middle of the forest. Then she heard the sound of the branches of the tree. Then she turned her head and she was looking. What was that sound? Then she looked back and was horrified to see the bear coming along full speed. Bears look as they move along quite slowly, but they shuffle along much faster than a trotting horse. Trotting, not down the word. Trotting. Trotting. Trotting horse. Trotting means running. That means, as we all know, that this bear is a giant one, like very big size, and they can't move fastly. But because of their size, whenever they are moving, we felt that bear seems to like a running horse. Trotting. Trotting means running. That bear seems like a running horse. And what did the mistress see in the forest? Yes, when she turned and looked there, she saw that bear was running towards her. Then what happened? She looked back and was horrified to see the bear. Horrified. She was like exclaimed by seeing that bear, because she chained the bear in her house. Then why this bear is here? Why he is following me? In a minute he had joined her, panting and sniffing to take up his usual place, dog fashion, at her heels. The lady was very angry. She was already late for lunch. There was no time to take him back home. She did not want him to come with her. And besides, it was very naughty of him to have disobeyed her. And actually, by seeing that bear, she was really angry, because she thought that this bear was not obeying her. Actually, she chained her in her house. But also, this bear followed her. She thought like that. And she was very angry. Then she told to that bear that I don't have much time to bring back to your home, because it's almost lunch time and I want to reach my sister's house. Then you must go back. But that bear seems to be unobeyed. Okay. And she told him in her severest voice to go back at once. Menacing. Note down the next word. Menacing. Menacing means danger. M-E-N-A-N-C-I-N-G. Menacing means danger. Note down the next word. She told him in her severest voice to go back at once, menacing him with her parasol. Note down the word parasol. Parasol. Parasol means umbrella. Okay, have you seen this umbrella? So this is one of the synonym of umbrella, parasol. So this lady was going to her sister's home with this umbrella, with an umbrella, and she looked the bear dangerously. That means menacingly, dangerously. She looked that bear. Then also that bear was not ready to return back home. Then she took her umbrella and she was about to beat that bear. Then what happened? He stopped a moment and looked at her with his cunning eyes, but did not want to go back and kept sniffing at her. Sniffing. Note down the next word. Sniffing. Sniffing meaning inhale. Inhale. Note down the word sniffing. Sniffing meaning inhale. Inhale means exhale. Okay, so inhale. So that bear looked her with his cunning eyes. Cunning eyes means dangerous eyes. This bear was looking at that lady, but did not want to go back and kept on sniffing at her. So this bear was inhaling his breath. When the lady saw that he had even lost his new collar, she got still more angry and hit him on the nose with her parasol so hard that it broke into two. He stopped again, shook his head and opened his big mouth several times as if he wanted to say something. Then after that, she understood that no chance, he is not going back. So what he did? Suddenly she took her umbrella and hit on his nose. And the nose started bleeding. And with that pain, he started making noise. That bear opened his mouth and he wanted to say something to that lady. Then he turned round and began to shuffle. All of you turn the page. Shuffled back the way he had come, stopping now and then to look at the lady till at last she lost sight of him. Then that bear was really in a pain. And that bear opened his mouth and started making noise because of that pain. And that bear returned back to the way he came. And at that particular time also he was looking at that lady with his cunning eyes with pain. And when the lady came home in the evening, the bear was sitting in his usual place outside his kennel, looking very sorry for himself. The lady was still very angry. She went up to him and began to scold him most severely and said he would have to be chained for 2 more days. The old cook, who loved the bear as if he had been her son, rushed out from the kitchen very angry. Then, at the evening time, the mistress reached back her home. Then, at the time she saw the bear was on his tunnel, was still chained, and he was looking all over like this. He was sitting like this. And when that mistress saw that bear was sitting silently, she was little more angry. And that lady started scolding the bear. Hey, what you doing? Why you followed me to that forest? Then she started scolding. Then, by hearing the scolding, the cook came from the kitchen and she was like, what's happening there? What's going on here? Then, actually, this cook loved this bear very much. So, she was very doubtful why this mistress is scolding simply this bear. What are you scolding him for, missus? Said the cook. He has been as good as gold the whole day. Bless him, he has been sitting here quite still on his haunches. Note down the next word, haunches. Haunches means hips. And this cook was saying that the whole day he was very silent and the whole day he sat in his haunches. He was still sitting on the same position on his hips. Then why you are scolding him? He was as good as gold today. That means he was that much good. He behaved so well today. Then why you are scolding him? What's the reason? Then, looking the whole times towards the gate for you to come back. And that cook also added. And he was really looking at that gate. He was really waiting for you. And he was really looking at that gate and he was waiting for your return. And by hearing that, that mistress was, oh my God, what was happening here? Yeah, so here the story ends. And who is the writer of the story? It's Excel Munte. Excel Munte is the writer of the story. So students, what is the moral you get from the story? What is the moral you get from the story? Without knowing the real truth, never underestimate anyone. Without knowing the truth, never underestimate anyone. That is the moral this story is conveying. So, hope the story is clear. See you.